Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, whatever time zone it is, wherever you're in the world. It is your Lore Saviour on a fairly pleasant morning in March. Like, we got the fucking sun out and reactor lights on, boys. It's pretty fine weather. So you think we're going to have a nice jolly chat today? No, we're going to have a fucking miserable time because the arrogance of 5th edition fans within the world of darkness really getting on my B-cup titties. Now, I need to provide some context for all of this, you know, beyond what it says in the fucking title. Now, I manage a fairly large World of Darkness Facebook group. That's a fairly recent promotion, as it were. And one of two admins, and I'm practically the only one who ever fucking turns up and does anything now. But one person was asking a question regarding the Iron Curtain in Russia, the magical shit that the Niktuku Baba Yaga did within the World of Darkness, and asking about how that infected Wraith the Oblivion. Now, it's mostly a Vampire the Masquerade and Werewolf the Apocalypse thing, which you may already know. But that led to a question, completely detached from that, in the replies to that one, asking about crossplay. And somebody was asking about that, like telling their friends how World of Darkness, it's all like interconnected within the same world, so like Changelings is in the same world as Wraith, within Vampire, within Werewolf, etc. and so forth. And they came back with a comment saying that actually that wasn't true, and it was really 5th edition that encouraged crossplay. And the person that was asking the question, the questionee, well, the questioner, I guess, thought they were doing things wrong. Or at least questioned that they were doing things wrong. And when I read that, that really angered me. And it still has made me feel kind of angry, because even just the little hint that somebody is playing a TTRPG wrong, it just rustles my feathers somewhat, you know? And I just wanted to try and clear the air, because this is not the first time that I have seen somebody claim that 5th edition World of Darkness games encourages crossplay. So what does crossplay mean in this scenario exactly? Well, if you play a TTRPG game within the World of Darkness, and one player is a vampire, one player is a werewolf, basically every person is a different splat, shall we say. And it requires quite a bit of know-how, dare I say, because it requires the games master to have some understanding of all the different universes, as it were, involved to run somewhat of a coherent story. And, you know, on the surface it may seem like a fairly straightforward idea, because all of these games use the Storyteller system, which is just a pool of D10s, which is pretty simple. You just roll the dice, add them up, bing, bum, boom, you got the result that you need. The bit that becomes difficult on a mechanical front is knowing how everybody's powers work, how everybody heals is something to factor in as well, etc. and so forth. So there's a lot to consider from the get-go. And every single World of Darkness core book, up until 20th Anniversary Edition, although some of the 20th Anniversary books do this, there is some little segment on crossplay, and if it's not there, it will be in some sort of companion guide as well. So World of Darkness / White Wolf have always encouraged this mind of thinking, without really talking about it too much, because it begins to overwhelm and overstuff and overpack the book in question, I think, and it can become a bit muddy. And sometimes I think that the people who've been hired to write about these bits don't know the full details, or they're given the basics, so it's not entirely coherent or all useful, I think. And a lot of it relies on the games master to know all the different splats involved coherently to tell a coherent story. Not just the lore and metaplot side of things, but also the mechanic side of things. And I think this is where the 5th edition stance seems to ride the waves of arrogance, as it were. Because the older editions of the World of Darkness games are known to be particularly crunchy, particularly in combat. And you also have to consider that what each starting character can do is going to be wildly different from each other. Like, I think it's universally agreed if we put a werewolf mage and a vampire starting character in a room together, the vampire's fucked. Like, I'm sorry if that's going to upset the loyalists amongst you. That's just a fucking fact. The vampire is fucking pathetic in combat when it comes to what a werewolf can do, and is far lesser than what a mage can do intellectually. And you put a Wraith in there, you know, to get my other favourite one in there, the Wraith is just going to win just because nobody can fucking touch them. Unless the mage has the right spheres to do so. So, there's a lot of that to consider really, and I think it may cause a little bit of upset, so I think it requires the players to understand that some of you are going to be missing out on some of the action a little bit, and knowing how certain vampire fans are, it's going to result in a lot of piss babies at the table. Then we move over to the 5th edition side of things, where there is the illusion that things are a lot simpler because everything uses the same rules, which is something that I've seen thrown about quite a bit, and to be quite frank, as I've just talked about, so do the other World of Darkness games. Like, the core basics of collecting a pool of d10s and then rolling them is like universal across every single fucking World of Darkness game. Like, technically, if you've played one, you've played them all, sort of thing. It's just, as I said, the specific power things where things become a little different. And I think also we are talking from a metaplot standpoint where none of the world building or lore matters anymore. That they all are just fairly detached from each other, because the werewolves in Werewolf the Apocalypse 5th edition don't acknowledge vampires as kindred. The write-ups don't acknowledge it, the powers don't match up. There's always have been a little bit on their culture, and of course that is not pleasant either. The 5th edition core book for Vampire matches up with some of the things of Werewolf, but that was designed where things were meant to, or going to, flow more coherently with each other, and Hunter acknowledges that they get this shit from seeing a werewolf, but it doesn't specifically say, you know, the delirium or whatnot. So there is some crossover there, but they are so fucking detached from each other that you might as well call them the Chronicles of Darkness rather than the World of Darkness. And we've talked about this before, where it had been confirmed that the World of Darkness team are currently looking to Chronicles of Darkness for inspiration, which is probably why we're not getting Chronicles of Darkness games, because there's just a lot of fucking copying and pasting going over, and then editing things to make it 50 times worse. But, again, you still have that element about what a starting character can do in a 5th edition game, and quite frankly, it's the vampire that wins, and that really shouldn't be the case, given the whole strength, the power, the ferocity a werewolf can do. But werewolf starting characters are fucking glass cannons. And that really is shitty. And again, we know that Werewolf the Apocalypse 5th edition was designed so they were weaker than the vampires, and then you've got the hunters who don't stand a fucking chance anyway. But they can throw the same level of punches than each other, so they're on an equal playing field, and that's just fucking weird. So yes, you could do it easily mechanically, but on a narrative sense, it just does not make any fucking sense. And of course, if you are doing this at your table, I'm not going to stop you from doing that, but it's not something that I would do. And likewise with the older stuff of World of Darkness games. I've never done it myself. I think it would be a really interesting challenge to do, because I've never actually seen anybody do it. There's a lot of conversations about how it would work, and sure, the balance is out of whack, as is the case of the 5th edition in the favour of vampires, but I don't think it's ever been done. So one of those spoken things about, but it's never actually been done. But I'm not going to stop anybody from doing things, I'm just venting to you because I think it's pretty fucking shitty that 5th edition just sort of lords over everyone else, saying it's the better version. Of course, you do see that quite a lot with V20 fans as well. But yeah, it's just, I see this idea a lot, and it's just strictly not true. And whilst I'm in this ranting mode about 5th edition fans, can we just discuss a little bit how they've just made the unofficial White Wolf Wiki significantly worse? How poorly integrated 5th edition lore within the Werewolf the Apocalypse specific bits has just made it a very fucking confusing read, and how they've just made huge sweeping edits to vampire shit. It's just made it fucking undecipherable, for lack of a better phrase. And I just think that's real fucking crappy. They have their own fucking wiki now, but yet they will not publicly acknowledge that the direction of the 5th edition material was shit, so they'd much rather go and ruin something else that everybody else uses, so it's a bit more coherent for them. Which is annoying. Again, that just goes back to the whole fucking bringing in the older stuff into the new edition, so it's an incoherent mess. Like, Shattered Nations brought back all the fucking politics that they were trying to get rid of with Werewolf the Apocalypse, which is fucking stupid. Because the fucking community team saw that people were fucking homebrewing that shit back in, but they're still not prepared to say that the current iteration of Werewolf is the lesser version. But they will think it's the easier version because there aren't so many dice rolls, or it's not as OP or whatever. I'm sorry, you're wanting to play a game of Werewolf the Apocalypse where you don't feel like a fucking murderous werewolf with lots of fucking dice pools. Are you okay? Do you need to have your fucking brain checked? I think you do, mate. And then, yeah, I'm just sort of going off on a tangent now, but it just really bugs me that so loud and vocal the 5th edition fan base has now become, that it's now beginning to make people question, have they been playing their older World of Darkness games correctly or read the material correctly? And I hate that, because there's a word for that the 5th edition fan base have thrown around with those who enjoy the older material more, and it's called gatekeeping. Like, there has been some gatekeeping going on, telling people you can't do this because 5th edition does it better. And I think that's just a bit fucking wank, honestly. And I know there's going to be some people who are going to misinterpret of what I'm saying, that I'm gatekeeping the 5th edition fan base. Again, I love Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition. Always have done. Of course, with all things in life, there's some things that annoy me. The core book itself is a fucking mess to read. I'm not a fan of the blood resonances. I've never used them. I always forget that they exist. I don't like the direction with its current meta plot and it's changing direction so it emulates a sort of vampire D&D aesthetic. I don't like 5th edition Werewolf, and I never really had enough of interest in Hunt of the Reckoning to give a shit about the shitty changes that made to that shitty fucking book on the whole. But I do enjoy Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition. I would not be here, you would not be here, had it not been for Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition, so I do enjoy it. I just don't like the fucking community that currently surrounds it, where they gatekeep the older fans for not wanting to play things a certain way. They have a go at them for years for not including ways to make elders, and then their fucking 5th edition book, Gehenna War, puts that shit back in with fucking beautiful illustrations with vampires dangling from helicopters in leather jackets and katanas. But it's alright because it's in their 5th edition book. But it's not alright that it's been in a handful of other books for the last 90 years. So people who have been playing the game way before most of the 5th edition fan base were born have been playing the game wrong. Can you see how that doesn't make any fucking sense? No, I don't think so. And of course, media literacy is just a dying thing for sure. But I don't think that one person who started this little rant off has been playing the games wrong, acknowledging that all the different splats exist within the same world of darkness. They're not segmented away from each other, and it's very possible to play them in a cross-play fashion. Just requires a bit of extra legwork. Apologies for the little rant, as it were. It's been a hot minute since I felt the need to have a little moan and complain about the state of the world of darkness within the 5th edition setting. I think I've been pretty good with that, actually. I've been fairly positive with these things recently. I'm trying to do better, but seeing that last night really got under my fucking skin, and I just needed to fucking vent that out before it did any fucking permanent damage, as it were. So yeah, if it's something that resonates with you, do let me know in the comments below. Have you done cross-play games within your TTRPG sessions? I'd actually like to see whether this is something that people have actually done, or is it like as mythical as Golconda, or I don't know, something else that's mythical within the World of Darkness. Let me know all your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Now, whilst you're down there, you'll be able to find a bunch of World of Darkness books to include in your game, so you can potentially run these cross-splat sessions. Cross-splat sessions. Fucking fly getting in my way. So yeah, if you go and purchase those books with those specific links, I can get some of the money back because I'm an affiliate on DriveThruRPG, and I'm able to provide awesome content like this with your financial support. If you can do that, that'd be absolutely great. If you can't, that's absolutely fine as well. Now, if you've got those books already and want to buy other ones, there's an affiliate code that you can copy and paste in the URL of whatever book you're viewing on DriveThruRPG. Put that at the end of the URL, the code I mean, and that will give me a bit of financial support as well. So there are many ways you can support the Lore by Night brand financially, but if you can't do that, don't forget to like, share and subscribe this video and share it to all those that love what I do, and I'll see you on the next upload, wherever that may well be for you. And until next time, farewell.